Hi, my name is Ursula Darby, and I'm a public speaker, a certified grief educator, and a psychic medium. And I've been on the front line of grief, spirit, and survival for over 21 years. I'm also a former stand up comedian. This podcast tells the truth about this work, how it started for me, and what it's really like, and the parts that no one will say aloud. This is episode 8. Last time I talked about kind of like I want to say almost like the breaking point for me, where moving to that apartment and the activity ramping up to it was I had nightly visits my whole life, but the intensity, the discomfort, the fear, the visceral experiences that I was having were 10 times stronger, I guess you could say, using those terms. And it those things were happening throughout the night. I had started back into to school, and I was commuting. I was doing a really hard program. I was working at a job in hospitality. I was working giving readings. I was studying for college for massage therapy, and I was having nightly visits from people in spirit, and I literally felt haunted by them, and I felt completely powerless, helpless, and out of control. There, I said it. I felt completely out of control. And as I've told you, or as I've shared, I was looking to understand what was happening. I was looking to find other people that had the same kinds of experiences. And the few people that I did meet, they all said that I was, I just, that can't be happening. That those things don't happen. And, you probably have some kind of intuitive block or some kind of block with yourself. And I knew that they were derogatory responses and they were hurtful, but they didn't give me any answers because my experiences didn't stop. So I, I was having these things happening to me and I didn't know what to do. So I kept searching. I kept reaching out to people. I kept trying to find answers. I kept trying to find people that were supportive, kind, and caring. Because I made the assumption that people in the quote unquote spiritual industry or intuitive industry or self-help industry, that they would be supportive, kind, and caring. Not in my experience. No, big nopey, nope, nope, nope. You should never make, when people say that phrase, don't make assumptions because you make an ass out of you and out of me. Well, hey, yep, I'm there. I just thought that I would be embraced and accepted and someone would take me in because people would talk about being mentored by teachers or taking classes. And I'd mentioned going to like crystal stores, spiritual stores, psychic events. Going to psychic fairs, right? Isn't a psychic fair exciting? It totally is. And I did have readings. They never told me anything. They never addressed any of my experiences. And in fact, I never actually asked about them. That doesn't make sense. And it does, because I was too scared to tell people. As I started into the massage therapy program, I started having experiences there. I started having intuitive experiences, and I had started giving readings to people. I didn't advertise anywhere. It was word of mouth. So people would hear about me, and people that would know me would be like, "Oh, I heard you do this thing." I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And then, and then I would read them. And I didn't have anyone teach me how to give readings. I didn't have anyone show me. I was just practicing from that book that I referenced earlier on. I think it's The Complete Idiot's Guide to Being Psychic. That's what it's called. That's even funnier. You're like, you what? Yeah, I did. Shut up. Just listen to me already. It's funny because it's true. I did reach out to that well-known psychic that gave me their phone number because I couldn't stand what was happening to me and I wanted to know more because I was like, throw caution to the wind, let's see what happens. And I called them and they answered. And I told them what I was experiencing and what I was going through. And, they'd give me their number and what they'd said to me and what they'd offered. And they had agreed that, yes, they had offered me those things and that they couldn't help me. What? They couldn't what? They couldn't help me. They said that they couldn't help me because they weren't a medium. And I like, what are you talking about? Well, I don't deal with, people that have died. I don't do that. You should go to a spiritual church and take a class there. I can't help you with that. Okay, it's helpful. So that's where that phone call went. And I didn't follow up with them because I was studying massage therapy. I was in a full-time program and working part-time, and I didn't have room to attempt to learn about things that they didn't know anything about. So I just thought it was a moot point. That was disappointing, kind of like all the experiences that I had before that. And I kept trying. I had heard about someone teaching classes on intuitive development. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I did make time for it. And I took a class with someone who was considered a spiritualist medium. And I didn't know what a spiritualist medium was. I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, oh, they're spiritual and they're a medium, right? No, no, that's not what that is. I discovered that there is a spiritualist church, which had started many years ago, but I'm not going to leap into the history of it. There's spiritualist churches all around the world, from my understanding. And at that time, I learned that they taught people to become mediums or to teach them that they could talk to their people in spirit. That's what a medium is. And so I was like, okay. But I didn't, there weren't, where I lived at the time was nowhere close to where Spiritualist Church was, anywhere near me. It would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours somewhere to get there. And I couldn't add that on to the commute of where I was going to school and all the other stuff. I just didn't have capacity for it. So I found this teacher and I did not become a Spiritualist Church member. I didn't do that. You didn't have to do that to take this class with this person. And so I would go, I think it was weekly. I went to weekly classes. I think it was like an hour or so from my home. And I didn't have expectations because considering how everyone treated me before, any, anything could happen at this point. And so we get into class, she introduces herself, says what she does. And I'm pretty sure every single class that we did started with a meditation. So it was a guided meditation by her, or we listened to one. And then they would introduce a concept or an idea of some sort. And then we would practice with each other, with other students that were in the class, and we'd practice the exercise that the teacher would give us. So it's like, okay, I could do this. And I'd never done these things before. So I was completely new to this. I remember one of them being that you had to sit in front of the class. And I think it was your back was to the room, so you couldn't see anybody. And I think you were blindfolded, or I was blindfolded. And then you would have to connect to someone that's passed away and give details about them. And I was seeing someone in spirit. I was hearing them, feeling them. And I started describing details to connect to the person in the room, and someone in the room had agreed because I couldn't see who they were or whatever. They'd agreed, and I'd given the details. In that whole exercise, this was a man that was in spirit because I remember very clearly why it was a man. He had come up to me in spirit and he touched me. He touched my chest. He grabbed me. He assaulted me, essentially. And I was shocked and freaked out that that could fucking happen at all. And it upset me. It distressed me. I was uncomfortable. And because I'd had so many people giving me such crappy responses, that I kind of carried that poker face, right? Anything wrong? No, I'm great. What are you talking about? And so I had that, like that poker face, like don't let anyone know what's going on. And We finished this entire exercise, and then what would happen is the teacher would go student to student and give feedback to them or talk to them or answer any questions, things like that. And so I said, this is what this man did. This is what he did to me when I was doing this. And she's like, well, that can't possibly happen. I don't know what you're talking about. Even saying that to you, I can feel my heart rate going up and the anger that's building within me. She completely dismissed me. I'm like, this is not okay. And the more upset that I got and how clear I was on this wasn't okay. I don't like this. I like, what the fuck do I do? How do I stop this? Oh, those kinds of things don't happen. It just fucking did. It just did. She didn't believe me, just like everyone else that I had met and that I told. She didn't believe me. Didn't smart me, didn't believe me. And she looked at me really smug, like she knew everything, I knew nothing. And that just irritated me to no end and frustrated me even further. And I recall the rest of the classes. And when I did that exercise, I was correct in finding the person that was in the room, whoever that connection was, and who that person was, who the jerk in spirit was. And it was always the same thing: meditation, teach the exercise, teach what the lesson is, do the exercise, get feedback, away you go. And every time we would do the exercise, I sailed through it, no problem. Easy peasy, done it. We're good, clear, got the deets, gave it to you. That irritated the teacher even more. She doubled down on me. She got even more angry and frustrated with me. She didn't become more receptive. She didn't become more understanding. She didn't become more supportive like a teacher would. She became defensive. She became irritated with me. She became frustrated with me because I was so upset by the way she treated me that she didn't realize that I could do all these things with ease without fucking trying. I wasn't trying. I wasn't doing anything. It was really easy to do the things she asked me to do. They weren't complicated. They weren't frustrating. Nope. They were easy. And other students in the class could or couldn't do them. I don't remember. This isn't a comparison. This is about how she treated me and how she didn't believe me and she didn't support me. So I just kind of took it really lighthearted and was like, bah, that's not a big deal. I'll do the work. I was never disrespectful, but I didn't feel supported or heard. And there was never like, hey, Ursula, do you want to talk about what happened in class? And no, nothing like that. And I reached out to her for help and support and insight, and it wasn't there. It wasn't given to me. They just didn't do those things. They just are like, class is over, we're done. It's that whatever happens in class is what happens. That's it. That's all. I mean, come back to next class and we start again. So yeah. I'm gonna go with this isn't how teachers are supposed to treat you. Just saying. You would think they would be receptive. Not so much. So I did those things. And I continued giving readings to people. And my experiences still continued. They didn't stop. There was nothing that I learned in those classes that helped me stop people in spirit from visiting me. I talked to them. Not in the class, but I mean, people in spirit. I'd like, leave me alone. Please stop this. You don't have permission to be here. I would say, I don't know, I'd say manifestations. Like whatever someone would tell me, like, well, just tell them to stop. Just stop. Anybody? Just stop? No, they wouldn't stop. They didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to me. They didn't stop. It just continued, like just kept bulldozing their way through my life, I guess you could kind of say. I'm saying it's that way because at that time it was just so emotionally distressing and physically distressing. I make light of it, but it wasn't. The classes were light. That was easy. It's like reaching out to people. I kept asking teachers, stores, people, places that someone said, "Oh, this intuitive could help you." I'd reach out, I'd call them and say, "Hey, listen, you know what? I'm seeing these things, I'm hearing these things, I'm feeling people touching me, I'm hearing footsteps in my home, I'm seeing shadows moving about, things are moving in my home, I'm being, I'm hearing crowds of people in spirit talking to each other. I'm feeling presence in my space. I can't sleep at night because it's all night long, but I hear them talking to each other. I hear them moving things around. My doors have opened and closed, locked and unlocked. I mean, it just, all of those things. I was always given the same response by anyone that I reached out to was, those things don't happen, Ursula. You're making that up. You're full of shit. I can't help you. Those kinds of things don't happen. Nope. You know what? You just need to take a beginner course and maybe learn how to like understand your intuition and start really basically and go from there. Because really, I can't help you. I don't know what you're talking about. Seriously. That's what I heard over and over and over and over. Oh, and followed by, you must be blocked. Wait, or you're not grounding yourself. That's why. So this is your fault, Ursula, because you're not grounding yourself. This is all your fault. So from the age of 5, I was supposed to know to ground myself to stop the stuff from happening. Fuck off. Ah, oh. Gotta breathe this one out for a second. With being met by the same kinds of responses and by teachers or people, these people were psychics and mediums, right? Like whatever they were teaching, whatever they're talking on, whatever that stuff was. And I was always reaching out because I didn't get an answer. I didn't get support. I didn't get understanding. And because of how that so-called psychic friend of mine was with her ridiculous language that she used and it was never clear about anything, I promised myself that when I began to understand what I was experiencing, why it was happening, what I can do about it, and what to do with it, that I was going to use simple and easy terms. Because if I've been experiencing this my whole life, there's got to be other people out there. Maybe those people aren't as persistent as I've been. Or maybe those people have just shied away and become scared and upset and thought, you know what, there's got to be something wrong with me. So I'm just going to ignore these things. It didn't matter how much I tried to ignore any of these things, they never stopped. I couldn't ignore them. They were in my face. And giving myself that pep talk of, you're going to get this figured out. You got this. I mean, I hoped I would get there. I did, clearly. Obviously, I did. In the meantime, though, when I was giving readings, I was using psychometry, like I learned, right? Like take hold of an item of somebody's, whatever information you get from it, and give them the information you're getting. I never used tarot cards, crystals, or cards, nothing like that. And I never asked anybody that I read why they wanted to see me for a reading. I would just give them information. The reason that I didn't ask them is because I watched when I had readings that there would be, like, if the psychic that I booked with for whoever it was for a reading, they would, who do you want to see? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to share? And it'd be like a full conversation. I'd be like, aren't they supposed to know these things? And that wasn't to be a jerk about that, but I mean, if you're asking me, then I'm just telling you, right? So I learned from that. I'm looking for authenticity. I'm looking for ways to let people know that this is real. Because if I'm living it, so many in the world must be living this too. And I felt lost and alone, disappointed and unsupported and misunderstood my whole life. I didn't want to feel that way anymore. There isn't a moment that I can say that everything kind of fell into place where I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing happened and this turned out nicely. No. That didn't happen. Some really cool things did happen though. As I continued to take the classes and courses in my massage therapy program, I would, we would have to practice massaging people, right? Just different areas of the body, types of treatment. And I would become hyper aware before I would have to do that. because I wanted to know what would happen when I was massaging someone or even being in that close vicinity of someone. And I started to notice that when I was massaging people that I would see in my mind like I was in another space or place. I'm not talking galaxy. I'm not talking that. I'm talking, I remember this one. I don't know who the person was. I can't remember that part. I remember massaging this client in school, and I could see a yard, like a farmyard, and I could see like a corrugated steel building, roof, fencing, wire fencing, wood posts, and I could see that a dog had gone running out the back fence and out to the back fields where the tree line was. And I knew that the dog was missing. I knew the dog was alive, but I knew that the dog was missing. And I could see it clear as day. And I remember saying to that person, like, do you have any pets or whatever? Oh, yeah, my dog's gone missing. It's been this long and this what's happened. And I didn't do anything with that. I didn't say anything to them. I didn't tell them anything. I kept it to myself because I wasn't shown where the dog was specifically. I just saw what the yard was because I wanted confirmation because I didn't tell them anything. I just asked them, what's your like, do you have pets? And then they described this dog. And so I was like, ooh, I was right about that. Not that that felt good to know that this poor dog was missing. It also didn't feel good for me to solicit someone and be like, hey, by the way, I'm psychic. I'm just going to finish massaging your back. I just want to tell you that your dog is missing. No. Ew. Ew. No. So I didn't do that. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel ethical. It didn't feel professional. None of that. Those kinds of experiences, though, happened most of the time when I was massaging someone. Even just knowing where to treat someone, I just know where to go, where I felt it, or hearing what had happened to them, or seeing in my mind what had happened to them. Like I said to you, it's like that visual in your mind. So if you're listening to me, you want to know how I would see those kinds of things. Like I said, it'd be like a vision. I hate the word. It was a vision. Like you expect to hear it like drum rolls too. And the vision was no, it wasn't like that at all. It was my eyes are open and I would see in my mind, like I said, that the yard, the fencing, the steel outbuilding, the dog going missing. So the same as you sitting here listening to me or watching this is that you can think of a family visit or a visit with someone that you love and adore that was really memorable for you. And when you think of it, it pops in your mind. So you see it in your mind's eye, right? You see it in your mind, not just your memory, but in your mind. Like you're like, I can see where we were, what we were doing. Like I remember my friend's red shoes. I remember those really great pair of pants that I had on that day. Whatever those things were. I'm just giving you examples to kind of give you an idea of what that's like for me. And so that would happen. That would happen in massage class. And of course, it happened in my career as a massage therapist, but we're not there yet. I'm not fast forwarding anything right now. So, took those classes, disappointed yet again, didn't get help from the well-known psychic, and kind of left up in the air and promising myself that I'm gonna, as I move forward, these things are gonna make sense to myself because I'm gonna share this with people in a way that they can understand and appreciate for them. Because the reminder is this: I was looking for myself in the books that I read, the courses that I took, the people that I met, the teachers that I met, the other psychics or mediums that I met. I was looking for myself in them. My experiences is that hoping that they would have them too. And I hadn't met anybody. It's a really lonely place to be. I pushed forward and did whatever I needed to do and tried to ignore the disappointment that I felt or pretend it didn't happen because it just hurt too much. That's episode 8 I want to thank you for being here and for listening. You're listening to Ursula Darby, me. This podcast is the raw truth about grief, spirit, and life with honesty, humor, and no bullshit. In case I forgot to tell you in the beginning, I'm a skeptic and I hate cliches and the garbage that is in this industry. I hope you didn't get that in this episode. I'll see you in episode 9.